So, Jason, you and I have talked about Jacob Nielsen's recent article where he states that AI holds the key to the future of UX and that UX teams need a sense of urgency around AI. Can you share the gist of this article with our audience?
I think, what he noticed, and I can attest to, was that there was a hesitancy for, design research practitioners to get involved in that conversation. And what we saw was that it took a little bit more time for some of the usability, the kind of experiences to mature to the place where it was something that, the entire world could take advantage of. I think that AI is rightfully so in that same camp. I mean, it is a game changer. And the that call to action, that avoidance to sit back and watch it happen is really what Jacob was trying to express.
So, on that note, what do you think are some of the ways in which UX teams should engage with AI? Do you think they're at the point they should just start thinking about it? I know a lot of folks have been implementing AI. The concept itself isn't quite old. So where do you think is the right place for UX teams to be at this point?
The same things that happened years ago where there was fears and concerns about job redundancies or specialties that no longer are going to be manifest in our disciplines, those going away. And I think that fear, which is completely credible, I think I think we need to come to terms with it because this is going to happen whether we're involved in it or not. And the reality is that I think there's a lot of opportunity for it to fundamentally change the way that we work, allowing us to focus on different aspects of our crafts and disciplines. This is true for design, it's true for research. I think it's true for everybody. And so by leaning into it, understanding it, and helping develop the heuristics, the craft of developing really positive experiences, that's all getting defined right now. So it's an exciting time, but I can understand it can also be intimidating as well.
Yeah, thanks for that. A lot of good points there. A lot of us talk about how this wave of AI is different than how it's been before because we're seeing AI start to take on, higher cognitive tasks, not just displace work that is redundant and repetitive. So on that note, do you feel that AI is going to start displacing UX work? And, if so, tell us, or is it something that you see empowering the work that UX teams are doing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it replacing UX jobs. I see it replacing UX activities for sure. And ideally those that are time consuming or well suited for being able to slog through or making correlations between massive amounts of data and proposing summaries and solutions of that. I think it's also really adept at, like machine learning itself. Like the key part of that is the learning aspect. So being able to personalize experiences, provide guided experience over time. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I know if I'm going to be using a new tool set for what I do in my job, if I feel like the application is more, I hate to use this word alive, but reactive to how I behave and maybe where I'm at on my learning curve, I mean, that's pretty amazing. And again, that's not specific to UX disciplines. I think we're going to see that across the board.
As AI starts playing a larger role in our work, how do we make sure that we maintain the human aspect of what we do?
So I think we still need to hold to the principles of human-centered design, which is including humans in the middle of it. We can abstract some of that by with artificial intelligence and machine learning, whether that is taking a lot of user information and summarizing it and providing it to us in a summarized view and get right to the point, but you're never going to replicate the nuance that a human can have by watching somebody interact, talk, express their fears, their emotions, their excitement, their joy. we can do it well. A machine can do some of that, but I think you're never going to hear the stories and get the emotional impact without interacting and observing real people. And so I think there's just going to need to continue to be a balance of that. And I think the big fear out there is that, oh no, we're going to abstract it completely away. And I don't think we want to let that happen. And so it's folks that are in disciplines like myself that, we kind of take it on our charge to ensure that we retain that customer, real human connection. So I'm not super worried about it. And I'm more excited about the efficiency gains that allows me to spend more time talking to real people.
Jason, we've had many UX researchers we've spoken to, including those on your own team, tell us that they're skeptics by nature. So, can you talk a little bit about how we go about building trust in AI, trust in the system?
I'm glad you asked. I think this is the biggest important question. This is about trust in a system that we don't quite understand, and frankly, sometimes it's hard to explain. So I think that Apple and Google have done that really nice job in providing some kind of heuristics and principles around how to build trust in the machine. I think first and foremost, the important thing, and this is true with digital interactions or self-driving cars, is humans need to feel safe and in control. So I think the number one principle is, how do we ensure, as folks are interacting with these models or with these experiences, that they still can retain that sense of control? How do you give them that sense of control? Well, you're transparent with what they're interacting with. You allow them to dig in. If, for example, I think they call it traceability. So, hey, I've just summarized this document for you. Well, allow me to be able to dig in and understand, well, what is that based on? That's certainly important for the work that we do in trying to provide summaries of research sessions, for instance, like the ability to be able to dig in and have that confidence of like, oh, I see now how the system works, and that providing that visibility and that transparency allows folks to build trust over time. And that's the other piece, is like, you need to be thinking about the time dimension. A new experience, a new interaction, it's just like any other kind of relationship that you might have. There's going to be skepticism. The more open those initial engagements are, you start to like build that trust, and the behaviors itself will change over time too. And that comfortness with, this interaction that's learning how you interact and it behaving, that can be kind of offsetting as well. So I think we need to be thinking about these experiences, not just these one-off interactions, but how we guide folks over time to become more comfortable with it. I touched on this before, but when things are wrong, that could be really bad if you're driving a car that no longer has a steering wheel. As designers, how are we thinking about all the different use cases about how things can go wrong? How can we reinforce the sense that folks can take control back? I think those are going to be critical to the adoption of these technologies, and it's going to require a lot of critical thinking by the teams that are building them to think through all the possible scenarios, so that those can be managed in ways that doesn't freak people out. Because all it takes is a couple poor experiences, and folks are going to walk away. So, yeah.
Jason, thanks for that. I think what we're picking up, what you're saying is essentially how we go about building trust with other human beings as well. There's a lot of analogies to be drawn between how we build trust with our own teams and other humans, as well as how we build a relationship with AI and the systems that are powered by AI. Great, Jason. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll talk soon. And join us next week on Wednesdays for a next episode where we host AI conversations with folks from user testing as well as their customers and partners.